Listen, we're going to do one more sort of presentation of reading type stuff, and then Tommy, are you in here?
Tommy.
Is Tommy here? Jane, Tommy? All right.
He's eating all the deviled eggs.
He's probably eating all the deviled eggs right now. We're going to, after we do this, after we have play, we're going to get Tommy up here. We're going to start doing some of the music portion before we have our intermission. In the meantime, here, hang on. In the meantime, or featuring Dave Pleger. Dave is an old friend that I've known since high school. Was a roommate of mine actually when I went to UCLA, and we shared a room with another guy that was smaller than this stage, I think, at the co-op, and so we're never there, right? You know, you can't stay in the dang room, you know. So we're always off on campus running around. Well, this one quarter that we were there, Pleger took, I don't know, he had Shakespeare, he had these classes that, you know, 12 books that you had to read per week kind of thing, and he never went to class. The whole dang time he was working on something on his desk, and John and I would come in and it's like, Dave, did you go to class? Don't. He just didn't talk to us for a whole quarter. And then at the end of the quarter, there was, I don't know, 2 days before we were going to finals, and he looks up and he goes, how could you guys let me do this? How could you? I'm going to flunk out. This is crazy. He was mad at us, you know. I was like, what are you talking about? However, during that quarter, I don't remember anything else about that quarter except Pleger doing this thing. I don't remember any of my classes. He probably don't remember any of his classes. But we still have something from that quarter, and Dave is going to share it with us right now. Pleger? Dave Pleger. He's still mad. He did great, but
you have to have something to do while you're studying. Like, when you're in school and you start going, hey, you know, finals are coming up, but I can't study if I have a dirty desk. So you clean up the desk, and you know, the room's messy. We'll get to that studying later. Pretty soon you're out washing the car. So this quarter was a hard one, so I said, well, let's go into denial and I'll work on something different. And what it was is I've been a fan of Lord of the Rings for a long time. And if you remember in the Lord of the Rings, Gandalf goes to Minas Tirith in the early part of it and says, I've got to go through all your scrolls and books and things and find out about the Rings of Power. I said, great, scrolls, good stuff. If you read The Lord of the Rings also, at the end of it, there is the appendices that Tolkien added on that gave the history of Middle-earth going back thousands of years. And this is really great stuff, and most people never read it. They're going, oh, boring stuff, you know, I read the story, who needs all this stuff? Well, I really like that stuff. I said, wouldn't it be neat if in Minas Tirith there was one of these scrolls with the history of Middle-earth? I'll write it.
We need some volunteers. Can I help you here, Pleger?
Yeah, okay. There actually was a scroll called The Tale of Years written by a guy named, let's see. It was, I can't think of his name right now. It's in here somewhere. So what I did is I made a scroll. It's the history of Middle-earth, The Tale of Years. I'll hold the front part here. If you can just stretch it out there. Okay. Okay, so.
Oh my God.
You guys have to look at this. Neil, can you turn up the lights? We're close to being done here. It's like, where am I? Right into the second age yet?
Can you read the number on the right, or on the left side? Can you read the number?
Jack?
We're at 2868.
Oh, keep going. Well, if you notice, it's done in sections. If I made a mistake in a section, the section went out and we started over.
Going outside now.
This is before computers. I'm going back a little more to help you here.
And you're going to be reading this.
Yeah.
Read it for us, please.
Well, the problem is it's not complete. Literally, when I made this thing, Tolkien was still alive, but he was advanced in years. He'd been talking about the Silmarillion for years, and I was going, well, he's never going to do it. I'm going to write this. He died, and I said, fine, I've got everything on Middle-earth. And then his son went and wrote the Silmarillion, which has more that should go somewhere back up here, pointing back here. So there should be several more feet going this way. So,
All right.
Read a piece of it. Little piece.
This is the scroll that Pleger spent. This is more than 1/4's worth of place.
I think so. Well, I wanted to also talk about something else.
Now we have to roll.
Somewhere about down here, if anyone see where the story of the Hobbit is, down in the 3rd age.
Let's see, we're at, can you read the number here? Where are we? At 2885.
Yeah, that's down there. If you look at it, it goes month by month at that point.
Oh, yes, of course, yes.
Right?
I could tell that.
Yeah, okay. Well, there's more details that can be put in.
Oh!
See, this was back in college. I had to talk about what's coming up nowadays. So,
All right, I'm rolling up to you.
you're rolling up? Okay. So while he's rolling up, we'll talk about this.
Tell us more.
Okay.
What did you do?
Handwritten, just, no, I just did it.
Are there any typos in here? No typos.
Or if there was a typo, that section went out and I redid it.
Oh, got it.
Okay, now, the part is, in The Hobbit, way down where he's probably rolling up by now, Tolkien gave you a few, this happened this month, this happened this month, in his appendices. And that's what I used, because that's all we had. But then I said, well, you know, if you read a story, you can probably figure out dates of when things happened. So we know a few dates, like when Bilbo's birthday was, or something like that. But I said, probably we could do better than that. And the better thing you can do is to start finding out the dates by something, you know, some sort of reference to this. In The Hobbit, Tolkien put in phases of the moon here and there. And if you know anything about phases of the moon, you can figure out what time of the month it is from the phase of the moon. Whether the moon's that way or this way or wherever it is. So I said, maybe that'll help and can improve that section about 20 feet down or something. So, I found there's a Middle-earth science page out there on the web. And this person went into details and talked about, well, you can date these things by the moon, and he did some of this stuff, and it's wrong. And the arm waving they do is, well, okay, the moon's in certain phases in Lord of the Rings, and this is 60 years earlier, and the moon phases don't match. Therefore, the moon, the cycle was different back then. So the shorter moon cycle or something, like, you know, shorter moon cycle means we're talking about Neanderthals and it's, you know, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years ago to get any difference in the moon's phase. And Tolkien says no. He says, this is thousands of years ago, not hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years ago. So Tolkien himself basically said, this is the bad idea. So I looked at The Hobbit, and everybody who looked at The Hobbit said, badly done. Okay, the only way to do this is to say that the moon's with 28 days instead of 29 days per month, and they left it at that. So I said, is there a way to work this out? Okay, so in The Hobbit, at the beginning there is, no. When they get to Elrond's house, okay, the dwarves are there, in comes Bilbo and in comes Gandalf, and they're talking about this quest to go to the mountain to kill the dragon. Elrond holds up the map they have, and it happens to have moon letters. there's a crescent moon, and then the letters light up and give them the clue they need to get in and kill the dragon. And everyone goes, okay, yeah, night has just fallen, the crescent moon's up, and they do that, and they read it. Well, I said, okay, that's where you're a half a cycle off. It messes up. It doesn't match Lord of the Rings. I said, well, what if it's a crescent moon? What if the crescent is in the other direction? I mean, you get a crescent moon late in the lunar cycle after full. I said, you know, speculation. Can I prove this? Okay, so on the science pages, someone said, okay, Tolkien said that Hobbiton is the same place where Oxford was in England. So, okay, we've got the latitude and longitude. We know where Greenwich would be on Middle Earth. We know the degrees north and east and west and all that. Okay, so that's part of it, is knowing, you know, where you are on the planet. The other half is what lunar cycle to use. Well, if you use the one that's in Lord of the Rings, what is it based on? Well, Tolkien, in his notes, he based it on the years 1941 and 1942. The lunar cycle for those years is what he used. They said, great, roll it back 60 years, we're back to 1865. That's the year of the Hobbit in our terms, and I've got the lunar cycle. And I worked it out, and found out that yes, 45 minutes before midnight on the night when he's supposedly reading the rune letters this way, he could be reading the rune letters this way, and it worked. And let me start going through this whole story. So I went through the whole story. And it works. Tolkien actually got the lunar cycle right to match Lord of the Rings if you interpret it the other direction. So, everybody else has written, they've gotten the date of the Battle of 5 Armies and everything else in The Hobbit wrong. And I know the right one. I've got a huge paper here that writing the scroll.
As you have all learned, there's nobody quite like my buddy Dave Pleger.